Hello students, we, uh, we are going to work on the cloud database. So we have already talked about how we can save the information in the local database. We have already discussed about how we can save the information permanently in our shared preferences. So today we will be talking more about the remote database, which is maybe on some server, maybe on the cloud. The cloud is also on the server. So our database can be located in many places. Maybe it is a web service or a cloud. It can be a local database. It can be a remote database. So a remote database is hosted on a web server that is on the back end. Okay, it is not directly communicating or interacting with the user, cannot directly interact with it. It has to pass through with our application with different client side applications. Maybe it can be a mobile application, maybe it can be a web application, or even desktop applications can connect with the remote databases to access the information in the distributed systems or the centralized systems. So one option to create that particular specific remote database, do it yourself. Buy some hosting, use their tools to create a database, populate the database with some data, set up permissions and authentication, and modify your application to connect with it. This is the old school, old way to do the things, because at that time we don't have the cloud services. Nowadays we are having a lot of cloud services which is provided by different organizations, different companies. Google is providing the Google Cloud services based on the Firebase. Amazon is also providing Amazon Web Services. Microsoft is also providing the cloud services or the web server sites things based on that particular Azure services uh, by our by Microsoft. So we will be more working on the Firebase. So Firebase, again, it provides you a lot of different type of services. I will should list it down only for three of them. One is a real-time database. It's a sports JSON data. All connected users receive the updates. What does that mean? I will explain you a little bit later. Authentication, I mean, we can authenticate the users based on their user social accounts or the Google account or the Facebook account, how we can do the authentication of the users which are connecting with these Firebase services. We can also have the deploying your own connections or deploying your applications, web services on those Firebase. It also provide a lot of other things, but our concentration is more on the real-time database. And as I told you that it's written down here that all connected users receive the live updates. What do you mean by the live updates? It means that you have different clients which are connected with this particular real-time database in the Firebase in the Google Cloud. And whenever there is a change in the real-time database, it will be automatically notified to all different clients. Whether it is a mobile application which is connected with that particular real-time database, it will be notified that there is a change in the data, so that the data can be in the client, that is the mobile application, is automatically updated. Similarly, maybe that particular Firebase or the real-time database is connected with the web application, that's again a client, and then that particular client is also notified. All the clients which are connected with that particular real-time database, if there's a change in the data, they will be notified, and their data, their information state is automatically updated. So that is what I mean by what do we mean by client. I will show you more when we are going to create the clients for our databases. The way we are Why we are going using the Firebase is more like simple and user friendly, simple control, different useful services it provides us. Where we can start, before we can do any kind of the Firebase things, we need to set up a client, set up a specific, what you can say, that the account with the Firebase. Don't need to worry about it, it's free of cost. You already have your Gmail account, so your Gmail account is quite sufficient to connect with that particular specific Firebase services. You can simply go to that particular firebase.google.com and you can log in using your Gmail account. Once you are logged in, you are all set to go. Okay, once you are logged in, it will show you this particular specific um, welcome screen. Welcome to the Firebase. You can, by default, in the beginning there will be no project, you have done nothing inside it. So if you have already done, then there will be some projects here. But if you have not done, never logged in or never used the Firebase before, then it will be something like this. That means that there is no Firebase project for you. So what you can do, you can create a Firebase project, and for that particular specific thing you need to provide the name of the Firebase project. You can connect the Android clients, you can connect the iOS iPhone clients, you can also connect with the Windows Phone clients, you can also connect with other clients. So there are a lot of other clients that we can connect with this particular specific project. And then of course you need to accept the terms and conditions of that particular specific usage, and then you can hit on the create button. When you hit on the create button, you can see that it will by default add an application to get started. So I mean, if you want, uh, if we are building some services inside our Google Cloud, we are building the database, we are building the authentication, we are building the storage, or some other things, then of course we want to consume them. And how we can consume them, how we can use them, we can use them using the clouds clients. And because we are working on the Androids application, so we are hitting on that particular Android icon. It will help us to configure a client. So once you hit it, it will ask you the package name. The second is the application nickname. The third one is actually a key that will help us to uh, encrypt the information, because the Firebase is a cloud service which is inside the internet at somewhere in the world. And then you have a client which is in your mobile. That's an application which is running in your mobile. So they are communicating with each other, and when they are communicating with each other, those informations are going over the internet. And if you want to make them more secure, then you need to, of course, I'm not saying that it is not going to provide the default options are not going to provide you the some sort of encryption. But if you want to add some additional encryption, additional features, then you can provide that particular specific authentication key. And where you can get it from your mobile, from your computer, you can simply run this particular specific command inside your command prompt if you're on running, if you're on Windows, or on your terminal if you are in the Mac or the Linux. So if you, when you run that specific command in the command prompt or the terminal, then it will give you the information SHA1. Okay, so this is the key that you can just copy from here and paste it here. And then you can say that I want to register this particular specific application as a client for our Firebase database. So once we have done this, it will ask you, it will create, it has already created a specific JSON authentication for that particular specific client, and in the form of a JSON file. You can download that particular JSON file. Once you have downloaded that particular JSON file, you can simply paste that particular specific JSON file, go into the project mode, not in the Android mode. Okay, in the project mode, let me show you quickly. Here you can simply say that in the project mode, and then you expand that thing, and here you have the application. Inside here you can right click here, and then you, the file that you have created, downloaded, that particular specific authentication JSON file, the connection JSON file, you can simply click on the paste here and copy it first and then paste it here. It will automatically add it inside our application project. Okay, so this is the way that you can um, add that particular specific file. But don't worry about it, with the latest version of the Android Studio, that is done automatically for us, so we don't need. But this is what we need to do if you want to do it manually. Once you have created the Firebase project, you have added the configured your client, that is your mobile application. Once you have all done all those things, you come into your application, and inside your application you need to add some dependencies and add the libraries. So inside your Gradle project file, what you need to do, you need to add that particular specific Google services. You also need to add inside your module app, again build.gradle, but you need to add that particular specific plugin services, Google plugin services. That's a plugin. Okay, you need to add that one. And then again inside our project file, that is the build.gradle.project file, you need to add the Firebase database. Okay, Firebase database services. And if you click on that particular specific Marvin, so it is a com.google.firebase. You can simply go into that particular location. You can find out the latest version. I think the latest one is 19 point something. So you can change that particular specific thing from there. So once you have added all those information, you have the Firebase, you have the plugin services, you have the Google services dependencies. And once you have added all those information, now you can synchronize your project. Once you synchronize, it will automatically download all those things, and then you can what you can say that you can utilize all those features inside your project. Again, you need to go to the Firebase. Again, console.firebase to google.com. You log in, open your project control, create a database. I will show you a little later. We have two way. One is a test mode, one is a restricted mode. In the restricted mode, nobody can read and write, but we can change that particular specific behavior later on. So what we need to do, start with your, nowadays in the latest one, in the Android Studio, you need to create a project, new project, empty activity, Java, select the location and name, and then you create that particular specific project. So again, it will create a very basic structure of your project with that main activity and the main activity.xml file. So once you have done that, it has created that particular specific Android project for us. Go into the tools and Firebase. Let me show you quickly here. We have this particular specific project here. So we go into the tools, and here we have the Firebase. Once you click on that, it will open up that particular specific Firebase assistance. So if we look at that, we have multiple options here. We have a lot of services which are, you can configure: remote configuration, test lab, storage, real-time database. That is the service which we are going to work on this in this lecture. Okay, so once you click on that, we have a lot of services, and on the real-time database we are more interested. We click on that particular save and retrieve the data. So when you click on this thing this link, it will open up something like this. So now we are in the Firebase, but we are in the real-time database service. And inside the real-time database, it is giving you different options. You have some steps to follow. The first step is that you need to create your Android Studio project with the Firebase. So how we can connect it? We can simply click on that particular specific link, and if you click on that, it will ask you a few questions. You want to create a new Firebase project? I mean, actually, if what you did when you click on that and you haven't done before, it will ask you the username and password. So you need to provide your Gmail account and the password. Once you have providing that particular specific Gmail and account and the password, authentication is being done. Once that authentication is done, it means that your Android Studio is authorized to connect with the Firebase using your credentials. So it automatically connected with that. And as you can see that I have one project already there. Okay, so you want to choose from an existing Firebase or the Google project, or you want to create a new one. For this one, we are saying that we want to create a new one. I say that Firebase demo, that is the name of that particular specific project. And then I select the location, and then I connect with the click on the Firebase. So when I click on the Firebase, it will show you connecting to the Firebase application using your credentials, username and password. It is going to authenticate the information from the Google server, Google side. Once it is authenticated, it will show you something like this, that your application or your Android Studio project is connected with the Firebase. Once it is connected, you need to add the real-time database dependencies to your application. So once you click on that, it will show you something like this. It will say that these are the information, these are the things that are going to be changed inside your Android project. In the project level Gradle file, we are adding that particular dependency. In the application build.gradle file, we are putting these Google services and the Firebase database what you can say that dependencies. So we have adding all, so it is show you all those dependencies, all those changes that this Firebase assistance is going to do in your project in the Gradle files. So once you accept the changes, so it will show you something like this. The first step is connect with your database with the Firebase and your application. The second thing is adding all those dependencies inside your project. So we have already done these two steps. Now we need to configure database rules. Okay, how we can do that? So we need to go to the console.firebase.google.com. Now if you see that we have two different projects. One is the MD30 whatever that name is, and this is the project, the Firebase demo that we have created right now. Okay, so once we have created it, and as the other thing, if you look at that, it is also already has a client, Android client connected or configured, you can say that. So once you create that particular specific project here, we are creating it and then say connect to the Firebase, it actually do two things for us. Number one thing, it create a Firebase project inside our Firebase account on the Google Cloud. And the second thing, it automatically connect your mobile application, your Android Studio project as a client in that particular specific Firebase demo, Firebase project. Okay, so it create a Firebase project, number one thing, and it also configured your Android application project as a client to this particular specific newly created Firebase project. So it do all those things. It automatically download that particular specific authentication JSON file, put it in the application folder and everything. You don't need to do it yourself. I show you all these steps that how we can do that, but here these things are being done automatically by the Android Studio. We don't need to worry about it. Okay, so now the next step is we need to configure our databases. As I told you, when you are creating the Firebase project, it is not going to create that particular database. It is not going to do activate any services. We need to do it by ourselves. So what we need to do, we go to the console.firebase.google.com, and once we go there, we click on our project name. When we click on our project name, we have this thing. For example, if we want to choose data sharing settings, you want to configure it now or configure it later on, accept the condition, finish, or you can do it later. And look at that, it has already configured our what you can say that it has already configured our um, Android Studio project as a client, as an Android client within our database, within our Firebase project. Okay, the thing that we are interested in is the real-time database or database. Okay, so we click on that. Once we click on that, it says that you need to create a database. You want to create a fire database? Yes, we want to create a database. So click on that particular specific link, create a database. When you do that, it will ask you a specific, it will go through some um, steps. The first step is that you need to select the mode. You want to start in the log mode or you want to start in the test mode. If you want to start in the test mode, it means everybody can allowing all reads and writes to your database. Yes, we can simply say this thing because we are in the test mode. But let me start with the log mode and then unlock that particular specific thing inside our, so that you know that where we can set all those permissions and things. Okay, so we click on next. When you click on next, it will ask you that where you want to put your server. There are multiple servers which are providing us the Google Cloud services around the world, so we need to select the location, and once we have select the location, we cannot change it later on. After you set this location, you cannot change it later. Also, this location setting will be location of your default cloud storage bucket. Okay, so you need to think it in a proper way. So where are your most of the clients are? If we are most of the clients are in the Europe, then you need to select some specific web server or specific server location which is more closer to them. And I think that because we are in New Zealand, so Australia Southeast is more like closer to us. So I selected this one and then click on the done button. When you click on the done button, actually it will create that particular specific project for us, database inside our Firebase project. So click on this button here. It is showing me we have two types of the database settings. One is the cloud Firestore and the other one is the real-time database. So we are more interested in the real-time database, so we select this one. Once we selected this one, it will show me something like this. Right now we don't have anything, empty project, empty database, there is no information inside it. Okay, so if we click on that particular specific three dots, it will allow us to export the data in the JSON file, or we can also import the data. We can also disable that particular specific database, or we want to create a new database. Yes, we can do that. Okay, so but right now I say that I want to export it. Once I have exported, it will show me that I have it will download a specific JSON file, and this is I have opened that particular JSON file in my uh, Microsoft Code. Okay, so Visual Code, Microsoft VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So there's nothing here. So what do I need to do? I am going to edit that particular specific JSON file. So this is one object. If you're familiar with the JSON, this curly brackets representing one object, and we need to provide the data in the key value pair or the name value pair. Name is a string which is representing the name of, just like name of your variable, and then the value of the variable. So this is the name, this is the key, and this is the value. So this is our key, this is our one array of objects. Okay, this is one object, and again we can just put a comma here and put a second object, pick again comma and third object, and so on. So this become an array. So I have put all those information. We have the student ID, we have first name, last name, gender, username, password, and mobile. And remember that we are working on in our database, so I have just used the same database model. Okay, so these are the, again, inside the object, again we have the key value pair. This is the key, the name of the variable, this is the value, that's integer type. Again, first name is the key and the Abbas is the value. So this is what you can say that I have that particular, I did these four different records inside our database. So I have edited that particular JSON file. Now I can go back into my cloud database, Firebase, console.firebase.com, for console.firebase.google.com, and then we can go into real time, and then I can click again, and then I can import that particular specific JSON file in which I have added four records. When I have done that, it will show me all these four records, 0, 1, 2, 3, and you know that the array, index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and inside that index value we have the complete object. Okay, you can consider it as a index, but is not actually the array or index value. This is the identifier for this particular object, this is the identifier for the next object, 2 is the identifier of the third object, and so on. But because we are putting inside the array, it automatically put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but if we want to do it programmatically, I will show you, it will not going to like this. Okay, we will see that. So we have added four different records, and this is how we can create a database inside our Firebase project, and how we can add the data inside that particular specific project. So once we have done this, we need to change those rules. Remember that we created our database with blocked everything, all read and write are blocked. So when we click on the rule, it will show me something like this. So it is again a file, we can edit it. Okay, so we have dot read is equal to false, dot write a false. So what we need to do, we need to change that particular false with the true. Once you do that, it means that the clients can read and write the information inside this particular specific database without any authentication. We don't need a kind of an authentication from the clients. We can simply read and write the information inside it, and that's what for our ease. It's not a right thing to do, but for our demonstration purposes, to make our life more easier, we are doing that. Once we are done, this is our cloud side. The Inside the Google place, we have created Firebase project. Inside the Firebase project, we have added our mobile Android application as a client, and then we also have created a database, and we have set the permissions for that particular database. We also added 4 different records in that particular specific database, and now we are coming back to our Android Studio project. Inside the Android Studio project, we need to create that particular specific data model. And if we look at that, what we have here, we have the SID, we have the first name, we have the gender, we have the last name, we have the mobile, we have the password, we have the username. And all these information except the SID, they are the strings, and SID is an integer. So we need to create a model, just like we have created our model for our, what you can say that, for our room architecture. It's a simple class, public class student. There is no annotations, nothing is there. It's just a class, simple class without any kind of annotation. Create that particular specific student object. Setter and getter methods are for fields. We add all those things together, and if I just show you here, I have created that particular specific model, and I have let me close it down right now, so you can see that I have put all those things here. We have the set methods and get methods for all the fields here. Done. And this is the project that I am going to make available on the Moodle, so you can download, and then we are going to work on that particular specific project during our lecture time. We are going to do it step by step. Instead of me telling you everything, you are going to do it yourself, and I will guide you in each step. This is a little change in the how we are going to conduct the classes. Okay, so we have created that our data model. So we say students equal to new, and then we are writing to the Firebase. The first thing is we have created the Firebase project. We have connected our mobile Android Studio application with the Firebase project, created that particular Android Studio application as a client, configured that application as a client in the Firebase project, go into the Firebase project, create a database, add certain records, and now we are in the Android Studio. We created our database model, and now we are going to write the information inside our Firebase. We have already connected. Okay, so what we can do, what I do, I just create a new student record. I put the SID is equal to 5, set first name, last name, gender. I mean, we are talking about our program leader Sandra Cleland, so we have said Sandra, we have password, mobile, and we have put all those information together. And once we have done that, we have already added all those dependencies. We have a Firebase database, Firebase database to get instance. What it will do, it will just connect with your Firebase project, and because you have already configured this application as a client, it will authenticate, it will accept that connection request from your application with the Firebase project. Once it is connected, it will get the instance of that particular specific database that we have just created. That is one database. Okay, so once we have created that particular specific database, it will give me this particular specific FIR demo 3E4FC. That is the thing, that is the reference of this particular specific object is going to come inside our database. Okay, this particular specific reference that contains an object of this T30 Firebase demo object. So this is the object, this is the database which we have created, and it is going to come in our database variable. Fine. Now we are saying that from this particular specific database, we are trying to read a database reference. Again, why it is a reference? It is a reference because we are not going to fetch the information. We are not going to download those information. Okay. we are just going to get the reference, the location, the position, where exactly it is. Okay, for example, where is Sandra Korean? She is in the building 1, level 1, room 32. So I know that whenever I need Sandra Cleland, I want to discuss few things, or you want to discuss few things, you can just simply go that particular location and find out the info. You can discuss it, you can find it, find out her there. But here in this case, you can say that sometimes Sandra is not there, sometimes it's there. But right now, inside the database model, whenever we have the location, the data will always be there. If it is not there, it means that data does not exist. 24/7 data is already there at that particular specific location or the reference. Okay, so what we are doing, we are saying that for that particular object, which is identified by that particular string, that is D303 Firebase demo, that is the key value. Key, the name of that particular value, which is representing this specific array of information. Okay, so once we have that particular specific reference, so we get that reference and to our db reference variable. Once we have that particular reference, what we are doing here now, I'm saying that string id and db dot push, db reference dot push, db ref dot push dot get key. But I'm saying that I want, look, I say that this particular specific thing has a records. Okay, fine. Record 0, 1, 2, 3 that we have already added using our JSON file. Now I'm saying that dot push, it means I want to add one more object in that particular specific list 0, 1, 2, 3. When I say push, that particular specific Firebase automatically create a unique key for our the data that we have added from our JSON file. It is 0, 1, 2, 3. The key for those objects of the students objects is 0, 1, 2, 3. But when we are going to push that particular specific thing programmatically, okay, then it is not going to be 4. It will automatically generate a unique key, provide that particular specific key, and then we are, it will create that particular empty object here. Fine, at that location. It will be empty in the beginning, of course, when you are doing at that particular string id is equal to dbref.push, and then we say that get that key, the key that you automatically generated by the Firebase database system. Get back that key. We want to use that key to add a new student record. So that's why we need that key. If we don't have that key, we cannot add the information. Okay, so we are saying that create a new key dot push and get that key back and return me that key. So we are storing that particular specific key in the id, and then we can simply say that dbref.child. We are adding a child of what, of that particular specific id, and dot set value student. So we have already created that particular student object with, we have put all those information in that particular student class object, and then here we are adding those information inside our we adding those information inside our database. So what it will do, it has already created that particular specific unique id. In the beginning it was empty, there was nothing there, and we are saying that at that particular specific id create a child and set its value to the student. So now we have the first id, first name, gender, last name, mobile, password, sid. Look, sid in all of these is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but this particular specific index value, so that's why I told you that this is not an index value. 0, 1, 2 is an array, it's an index value 0, index value 1. No, it's not. It's an id which is representing that particular specific object under that particular specific information. Then that is a string. So whenever we are going to do programmatically, our keys will be, our index values will be something like this, which are unique. Okay, so this way we can just add the information in the database. Simple. Create a that student object, put all the information inside it, connect with your database, get that particular specific instance, get the reference of our object, and inside that object create a key and add that particular specific student object inside it. And similarly, we can read it back. How? We can simply say that database and that particular db ref, this particular specific object is representing the whole array. Again, it's a reference, it's a location, it's an address of that information where they exactly are. It is not the itself the information. So what we can do, we can simply because dot add value event listener on that particular specific db.ref, we are adding add event value listener. Add event value listener. So we are saying that new value event listener. Whenever there is a change in the value, there is something happening over that those values on data change, we are going to read the information out of it. And due to some reasons, if that particular specific what you can say that on cancelled, that connection has been cancelled, then it say that db error, data error. So it means the changes inside the database are being cancelled due to some reason. Maybe that particular specific information that we are going to change, the connection is broken or something like that. So due to some reason, that particular specific request has been terminated. So that is that in this case, it will call this particular specific method. So now we are in the on data change. So when you have the on data change, it automatically send back the data snapshot under that particular specific reference. So we have a data snapshot. So we are saying that list of students, we are creating a new list of students. Of course, in the beginning it is empty. So what we are saying that data snapshot dot get children. When you say get children, it will get all these values. ID value 0, ID value 1, ID value 2, ID value 3, and ID value this, which is the long string. This all these 5 childrens will come inside our what you can say that at this particular position. So what we are saying, it's a for each data snapshot, it's again a snapshot. So it will have 5 snapshots: ID value 0, ID value 1, ID value 2, ID value 3, and this string. So we have 5 values here. So we are saying that for each data value inside this particular snapshot, do this. So what we are doing, we are saying that data snapshot dot get value. So we have the ID value 0. For that particular one, it will get the object under that particular specific value, get that value. This is the value of that particular specific ID. So it get that value, and what type of that value is, we are saying that student.class. So automatically it will put the first name into the first name variable, gender will go into the gender variable, last name will go into the last variable, value will go into the mobile variable, password value will go into the password variable, SID will go into the SID variable, and the username will go into the username variable. So in that particular specific student class, automatically it will match the keys and put all those values accordingly in those variables inside the student or class object, and return me that particular specific student. When it will return me, I'm assigning that, I'm creating a new student variable and assigning the information which has been returned from the database into this student object. And now we are adding that particular specific student inside our list. Okay, and then we can simply say my students data dot set value students. It means that we are actually showing the value, and my data students is actually a array list in which we are putting all those students, and it will show me the information. Is it fine? I hope it is fine. So we will be discussing, we will see in the more practical way once we are. So this particular db ref is representing this particular thing. Once we are adding, this is going to be represented get children, it will get all those children's, and this data snapshot is going to represent 0 for the first time, 1 for the second time, 2 for the third time, 3 for the fourth time, and this particular specific ID string for the fifth time. And so it will show you the information, Jennifer Lopez, under all those informations are going to be represented by. Okay, so um, that is again why we have Sandra many times. The reason is that I have been, I am working that particular specific application many times. I run it many times. Every time I run it, it add the Sandra Cleland record inside it automatically. So again, so it's this particular Firebase database, the real-time database, is not a relational database. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are not repeating our information. All that primary key constraints, the foreign key constraints, we have to maintain programmatically from our application. So that is our theoretical part. And then I will record another video in which I will show you all those steps one by one, in which we are going to add those things programmatically or practical, the things we are going to do practically. Okay, so um that's for theoretical part, and I will show you will see me again for the practical part. Okay, have a good time. Bye.